Please do sit down. We're so glad that you're here. We're so glad that we're able to meet in person, and we wish you a really happy Christmas. Hands up, who's peeled a sprout already? Not many. Mine will be refreshed tomorrow morning in time for Christmas lunch. It's wonderful to see you because in amidst all the preparations and, let's face it, anxieties of this particular Christmas, we're here to remember that we're part of a much bigger story, a longer story, a cosmic story. Take a look up. Churches often have high ceilings. This one was built in 1684, and generations of Londoners and visitors from all over the world have come here at this time of year to remind themselves that they're part of a bigger story. Perhaps more than most years, those of us who are adults have realized that life is short. We have a finite number of years on the earth. But this is a thin place where heaven meets earth, where we celebrate in this most ancient of stories the contemporary truth that God is with us. However you express that, however many questions you may have about that, what we're trying to say in this service, in this building, with this music, with these ancient poetic words, is that God is with us. So let me tell you one more story. 100 years ago, a tree was planted in the courtyard of St. James's Church, Piccadilly, only 100 years ago, at the beginning of the 20th century. That tree was very fashionable at the time. It was called a catalpa tree, or an Indian bean tree, and it became one of London's 100 great trees. Not long ago, that tree died and fell over, and there were huge blocks of it as it was cut up, and the blocks of it were spread around the site and around the church here. But what happened to that tree was something miraculous, because it became this. For those of you in the gallery, you can probably see on your screens. For those of you watching online, I hope you'll get some kind of view. For those of you in the very expensive seats down at the front here, your view is probably worse than everybody else's. I'm sorry for that. But afterwards, particularly if there are some younger people here, please come. This nativity figure set is designed to be touched and held, and so that we know we're part of this bigger story. The tree, the catalpa tree, has been made into these figures, and I just want to tell you a little bit about that story as a way into the Christmas celebration of the incarnation, which is the theological word for what we're trying to express here, which is that God is with us. For those of you who've been to any Sunday school class, you'll know that when a vicar asks a question, mostly the answer is Jesus. This, of course, is Jesus. But this isn't Jesus, meek and mild, being held in the arms of his mother, not crying. This is Jesus, almost wrenched up from the earth. This is Jesus incarnate. This is Jesus open-armed and open-eyed, blessing the world that he came to save, even as a vulnerable child. Mary is standing behind him, and this was the largest piece of the catalpa tree that fell over in the courtyard in 2010. Over here, we have Joseph. Joseph is standing with the shepherds, and the energy of this piece that the carver wanted us to see was that they are all pointing towards this vulnerable child, just been born. Joseph is here with the shepherds, and over here we have the three magi. We have gold, frankincense, and my favorite here is myrrh. He's standing on his own. Myrrh, as you may know, is the spice used to anoint a body for burial. Even in this joyful nativity scene, we can see that the cross falls across the cradle. And if you look carefully after the service, you'll see along the shepherds' backs here a kind of a cuff. They've got their arms around each other's shoulders and they're looking at the Christ child here. This curved, carved cuff around the back of the shepherds was where the tree was bombed in October 1940. It didn't die, but it was damaged. And so an iron bar was put around the trunk to enable it to survive for another 60 years. Christ comes into a world that knows about war. Christ comes into a world that understands the inevitability of death. Christ comes open-hearted, open-handed to bless the world as it is and to call us into a new way of living. As John's Gospel puts it, Christ's life was marked by grace and truth. Grace and truth. I hope that my life is marked by something like grace and truth. This year, it's been more often marked by stress and anxiety. At Christmas, sometimes it's marked by cooking and travelling. I hope, though, that your life and my life can be marked by something close to grace and truth. Please come and hold Jesus at the end of the service, and we wish you a really, really happy Christmas. Amen.